All right, I thought I would do a little something different here and do a playthrough or a partial playthrough of a game called One Card Dungeon. This is a game designed by Barny Skinner, and it's for one player. I will say at the outset, these are my own components for the game. It's a print and play game. I believe it's also on Kickstarter or was on Kickstarter, but I'm using my own components to play the game with the rules. So these are just various game pieces that I have. I'll explain a little bit about what we're seeing here, and then mostly we'll just get into the gameplay because that's the easiest way to demonstrate the game. It may not be, it's not going to be a total playthrough unless I die. We're on level 1 here of the dungeon. There are 12 levels to the dungeon, and this is my little character, this fellow here. Doesn't really matter. Again, this is just for the video. On level 1, we are facing some spiders. They're going to be represented in this dungeon space by these 2 dice, and at level 1, the health of the spiders is 2, and this is given to you by the game rules and the cards, the components of the actual game. You're playing this game, one card, it's double-sided, and as you go down through the levels, the card itself is going to tell you the values of the monsters that you're facing and the type of monster. So for level 1, your spiders have a speed of 5, an attack of 4, a defense of 4, and a range of 3. And I'll explain what that means as we go. You, however, change your values, and this is the mechanic of the game that's pretty cool. This is going to be me in the dungeon, and I begin here with a health of 6 here in the corner of the dungeon, and my goal is to get to the stairs and get down a level. I have some pillars here in the dungeon that are blocking line of sight, and they are blocking attacks from going through. And in addition to that, the monster placement is dictated by the card for each level, and for level 1, we're going to start out with the spider's placement right here and right here. What makes this game kind of cool is the way you develop your own character. You're starting out with a base level, basically like a low-level character with a speed of only 1, an attack of 1, a defense of 1, and a range of 3. Each orthogonal movement in the dungeon costs 2, and each diagonal movement costs 3. So at the outset, with just these stats, you wouldn't really be able to get anywhere. However, the way the game works is, at the beginning of each of your turn, you're rolling 3 energy dice. And we'll just do a demonstration here of how this goes. You roll your 3 energy dice, and you get your 3 values, and then you can assign these values to 3 of these 4 stats. You cannot change your range for the level that you're on. So our range here for an attack is always going to be 3. It would allow us to do a diagonal attack or an orthogonal attack if we were right next to the monster. We can't change that, but we can and do assign, as the adventuring phase of each turn, these values however we want among these attributes. So for example, if we wanted to, we could assign a 5 to our speed, thus making our speed for this turn 6. However, if we did that, we would be left with these 2 dice to assign to attack and defense. So let's say we did this. If we did this, we would have a speed of 6, we would have an attack of 4, and we would have a defense of 3. So a speed of 6 would allow us, for example, to move 2, 4, 6. It would allow us to move 2 and 3 and stop. We don't need to do all our movements, so we could just do that if we wanted to. But if that was the case, then again, we would be having our attack value only at 4. Now, as a different example, if we decided to do something like this, we would have an attack of 6. Or if we did something like this, we would have a defense of 6. But perhaps then we would only have a movement of 3. So the decision space in the game really rests with the way you are assigning these energy values each turn, depending on the puzzle that you're facing here on the board. At the outset, again, the monsters are here. They have a 2 health value. When we get to combat, we'll explain how that works, but basically you're taking the attack value that you have and then dividing it into whatever their defense value is, and that's the amount that you result in a hit for. And when the monster health goes down to 0, you've dispensed with the monsters. Once you've dispensed with the monsters, you can escape the level. Also, when you do get down to a next level, you have the option of leveling up. And when you level up, you can decide to increase either one of your skills, which would be the movement, the attack, or the defense, by 1. So these base values you could increase by 1, not the range, or you can heal back up to full health, back up to 6 health. So we start the gameplay with the energy phase here, and we're all set up to go. Viewers may notice that I've rearranged this a teeny bit because this is meant to be played on a 5x5 tile, and in the demo explanation of rules, I realized the size of my tile was incorrect. So, to be clear, these tiles are 5x5 here, and the movement, everything you see is a movable area, even the ones that look sort of half movable. And this is the setup for level 1, and the first phase of the game is called the energy phase, and that's where we're going to roll our energy dice and assign them to the spots that we want. And we'll take a look here and see really what we want to do. We want to probably at this point get as much movement. I think we want to get out of this corner, and again, our goal is to get down to the stairs. The monster movement is going to be done by a pre-programmed set of rules whereby the monster closest to you will move first. They're always going to be moving toward you, and they're going to be trying to encircle you. So they won't be getting into a line per se. They're going to be going around you if that is what comes up. So we'll see that as we go. Nevertheless, I think we want to assign give ourselves the biggest movement value, and then just in case, I don't think they're going to get in range, but we'll give ourselves a big defense. So this allows us a speed of 5, and again, remember it's 2 orthogonally and 3 diagonally, so we could do this, and we're out of range for attack, and that is that part of the turn phase. That was the adventurer phase, and now it's the monster movement phase where they're going to move close to us, and we can see this monster here. Well, this monster, I guess, is closest. So they do have a speed of 5. Moving this way for 3, they're in range to attack because they have a range of 3, and they're in range here. And then this monster with its movement of 5 can move 1, 2, 4. So we're immediately surrounded here. And we're going to be attacked by both of these monsters. They have an attack of 4. They will double up this attack, making that an attack of 8. We currently have a defense because we assigned our defense value of 5. So we divide the 5 into the 8, and that ends up being ultimately 1 attack that we suffer. If we hadn't assigned this, if we had, say, just the attack value of 4, if we had done this, we would have suffered 2 wounds because we would have only had the 4 defense. But because we did this and we knew we weren't going to attack, we gave ourselves the best possible defense, so we suffer 1 wound represented by us going down to 5. And that's the end of that turn, and then we start again with our energy phase and give it a roll here, and I'm not getting such great values. Now, noticing the scenario here, we're not going to be moving. We're going to simply be attacking because the monsters are within range. So we don't need to really worry too much about movement. So we'll assign the low die to the speed value. And then it's really a question of where we want to buff up, which we want to buff up more, our attack or our defense. Our attack of 5 is not going to make too much more of a difference to their, well, that's going to do 2 wounds. Yeah, we're going to do attack of 5, and we'll do a defense of 3. Excuse me. an energy of 3 to our defense, which is going to give us the defense of 4. And we can take our attack of 5 with our range. We could take either one of these out because this one is within range, as is this one. So we'll say we choose to take this one out and do an attack of 5 against their defense of 2. And that goes in twice, so we do 2 wounds, and we get rid of the first of the spiders here that is attacking us. Then that is the conclusion of the adventure phase. We move into the monster movement phase. It doesn't need to move because it's right here. So it's going to do its attack of 4 against us. However, we have a defense of 4, thus we suffer just the 1 wound. So we go down to 4, and we move to the next phase, which is, again, the energy phase. So we're going to start over again here. Let's see what we get. Again, we don't have to move, so we will assign the low value to our speed, and we will assign the, let's see, I'd like to do this defense here. So it's now our turn to attack. That was our to adventure. We're going to attack with 7. They have a defense of 4, so they're going to suffer 1 wound and go down to 1. Whoops. And they are now going to attack us. Again, they have their attack of 4. We now have a defense of 6, so we don't suffer any wounds. Next phase, re-roll. This looks easy, but it gets harder. And we got some nice rolls here. Again, we're just trying to mount an effective attack at this point. So we can do this, and we will attack with a total of 7 as against their defense of 4. And we dispense with the last spider, and we make it through the first level. All right, here we are at level 2, and for some reason I couldn't find a skeleton card or standee, so we got these guys, or skeletons, and you can see the level is different. We have the door here. Our starting position is going to be over here, and the question is, we can opt to heal, or we can opt to increase one of our baseline stats, and we only lost 2 health in that round, so I'm going to opt to increase one of our stats. I think I'm going to go with defense. So we're going to give a baseline defense of 2, and the skeletons, you'll notice their stats have changed as well. They have a speed of 5, an attack of 4, an attack of 5, a defense of 4, and a range of 4. And they are coming in also with 3 health. So they're going to be stronger, and their attack is going to be greater with a larger range. So they've got the 3 health, and their starting positions is one's right by the stair here, and they've just sort of emerged from the stair. So this is the setup for the beginning of level 2, and we'll see how it goes. We only have the 4 health, so I need to be pretty cautious here. All right, there we are. And I think, so they've got the range of 4, and they've got a speed of 4. So they're a little bit to 4. They're not going to be so much within range of us if we don't move toward them. I also don't want to get boxed in here. We've got, again, our baseline speed of only 1. So if we do, I definitely want to assign the high die to my defense, give myself a defense of 7. So their attack of 5 is going to just not get through. And even if they both attack me, I'll just get 1 damage. And I'm not going to be able to attack them this round. I realize the range here, right, they're at a range of 4. So if I had a movement of 6, I could go 2, 4, 6. Going to get me 2, 4. It's not, I think I'm going to keep it as this. I'm going to just do I'm going to have my one movement. That's it. And we're going to go to that's all I'm going to do in my adventuring phase. And now it's going to be the monster movement phase. So starting with the one closest to me, it's going to move as close as it can. Again, it has a speed of 4, so it could do either way. It can sort of just get to here. And this one will also come down here. And neither of them can hit me now because their range is only 4, and this is just to 3, and this one can only hit to here. So that's the end of that turn, and I'm going to need to start thinking about what to do here with this not great roll. So my movement is really impeding me here. If I move to here, I didn't increase my range, so my range is only 3. I can't reach any of them. I can just sort of stand there. I guess I could try to move and hide. To move and hide, I would have to do this. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give myself a movement of 3. I'm going to move back here, and then I'm going to have ultimately a defense of 8. That's going to end my turn. The monsters are going to move again to try to surround me. So with their speed of 4, they're going to go here and here. And they are not within range, and there's a line of sight blockage at any rate here. So they can't attack, and we're on to the next phase. And I'm hoping for a more even roll here. All right, that's maybe better. So let's see, what can we do here? We can assign in this manner, thus giving us a movement of 4. So we could move up to here, and it's going to give us an attack of 6, and it's going to give us a defense of 7. So we're going to choose to attack with an attack of 6, and as against their defense of 4. So we're going to bring them down a notch, or bring this one down a notch, and that ends our phase. We can't do anything else to attack this monster. We're out of range and we're out of line of sight. So this monster doesn't need to move because it's already within range. And as mentioned, the monster is not going to move when given the choice to line up. They're going to move to surround. So this monster would end up here with its movement, out of range, out of line of sight, that skeleton. This skeleton, however, is very much within range, within line of sight. It's going to attack me with 5. I have a defense of 7. So no damage to me. End of that phase, or round, I should say. Ooh, we did it. We got 3 6s. All right, but the question is, what can we really do with this aside from just attack this fellow? I don't think there's no point in moving. Well, that's not true. If we move, we have a movement of 7 now. 2, 4. We could bring this monster down. So we're going to be doing an attack of 7 against their defense of 4. We can't quite get to 2 wounds. We can take this one down. We can take them both down to 2, or take that. That's really the choice. I think I'm actually going to opt to move. So with my 7 movement, I'm going to go 2, 4, and with my range here of 3, I'm going to do an attack of 7 against this defense of 4, thus inflicting a wound here on this skeleton. That was the choice I made with that particular roll. And now we're going to go, I made a mistake. It's the monster's turn. So it's easy to remember what that was. We'll put that all back. And it's going to now, the closest one is going to attack us. Well, the monster movement, this guy is going to actually move. So with his movement of 4, he can move diagonally 3 here. Whoops. and they are going to both attack us next. They have an attack of 5 each, so that's an attack of 10, and we have our defense of 8, so we are going to get a wound, and we're going to come down to 3. And we're sort of boxed in here, but that's the way this goes. Back to our energy phase. That is a very bad roll. I'll mention now that there are some options in the game to play as different types of characters, like a wizard or a barbarian or something like this, and they give different benefits, and one of the characters gives a benefit of, I believe it's a re-roll of all the rolls. I might have taken that here, but I'm not playing as one of those characters for this demo. I don't need to move. Movement is not going to help me, so this is really the best I can do here, and I will choose to attack this guy, this skeleton up here. I have an total attack of 4. It has a defense of 4, so I do wound. Bringing that down to 1. And now, again, I'm going to get attacked by both of them. My defense is only 5. They're going to do an attack of 10, so I am down to a health of 1. It's looking pretty grim here for me. And again, I think we have no choice here but to do the best we can. We can't, let's see, can we take someone out if we, whoops, that's a 4. If we attack this fellow here and take him out, we have an attack of 5. He has a defense of 4, so we could take him out. One skeleton is gone. However, the remaining skeleton is going to do an attack of 5 against us. We have a defense of 5. Unfortunately, that is the last wound, and we're out. We only made it to level 2. I've never made it beyond level 3 in this game. It's a little bit rough, but perhaps I should have taken and started with one of the optional characters. There's the paladin that you could start with, where you can leave in place an energy die from the last turn. That's a pretty beneficial one. So for example, I could have left this 6 in place, and I could do that once per level. So I might have done that when I was down to health 2, and I might still be going once per level. The barbarian, once per turn, you can re-roll all the dice when you're at 1 health. That's what I was thinking of when I said that before. So in that last turn, if I had been the barbarian, I could have re-rolled, but then, if this was my re-roll, it wouldn't have really helped. The ranger, you can assign a die to range instead of movement if you want to do that. That's a pretty good benefit, and you can do that once per dungeon level, not per turn, per level. And then the wizard is the one where once per dungeon level, you can re-roll all the dice. So if you're unhappy with a roll, you can re-roll all the dice. So that's a look inside One Card Dungeon. It's a brutal game, and it reminds me of deck box dungeons in the sense that because the play space is so small, you can end up really getting boxed in and not being able to use the tactical or the potential tactical aspects of the game, like your range and your speed and those decisions that you made, to really get out of the way, because you get surrounded pretty quickly by the monsters. And I'm not sure you could possibly mitigate that by playing on a bigger card, for example, but the point of the game was that it was designed to be played on 1 card, and this card in this instance is a 5x5. Clever design and quick to set up and play.